Hello everyone, I am Dr. Kalyan. In this video, I will be explaining how a team of neurosurgeon and ENT surgeons remove pituitary adenomas from the brain. This video is not for operating surgeons and neurosurgeons. This is not a training session, but it is an awareness session for patients and their relatives who are yet to undergo surgery for pituitary adenoma. I'll be taking help of animations which are available in YouTube, and I will try to explain them in a simple language so that this will be beneficial for the patients and the relatives who are planning for a surgery for pituitary adenoma. Before I tell you what is done during surgery, you should understand what is the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is situated above the nose, below the brain, in the skull base, in the center of the skull base. So accessing the pituitary gland is a difficult task and requires a lot of training and experience. Let me show you the video. So this video is an animation from Stanford Neurosurgery. Stanford is one of the most famous center for endoscopic skull base surgeries. So first, let us understand where the pituitary gland is situated. This is the pituitary gland. Try to understand the anatomy. This is your nasal cavity, and this is a pituitary gland. And this structure which you are seeing is the skull base. This is the part of your skull. This is a bone over which your brain is supported and it is lying on it. The pituitary gland lies within a small socket in the skull base, which is known as the sella turcica. This entire structure is the nasal cavity. As you can see from the video, the nasal cavity is separated from the sella turcica, the pituitary gland, by a air-filled cavity of bone, which is known as the sphenoid sinus. So the God has created this structure. The pituitary gland is present in the back side of the nasal cavity and below the brain. So we have designed approach. God has allowed paved way for an approach. You can reach the pituitary gland or the pituitary tumor, pituitary adenoma, through the nasal cavity. So you'll have to enter the nasal cavity, remove this part of the bone, which is known as the front surface of the sphenoid sinus. Then after the nasal cavity, you enter the sphenoid sinus, and then you remove the backside wall, which is known as the posterior wall of the sphenoid sinus, which is nothing but the floor of the sella turcica. Once you open the floor of the sella turcica, then you can see the meninges overlying the pituitary gland. Meninges are layers over the pituitary gland. This layer is present all throughout the brain. So let me see. So the challenging task is, how do you enter the sphenoid sinus? Through the nose. Nose itself is a small cavity. Our hands can't pass through it. So here is what the role of the endoscope comes. So let's see the animation. So this is the pituitary gland within the sella turcica. And what are they trying to show this one? So try to understand this diagram. This diagram is known as the coronal cut. So imagine that your head and the brain has been cut in this way, in this plane. Then what you are seeing is the pituitary gland. There are two structures which are very important for you as a patient to understand, and also for the surgeon. This yellowish structure, which is present just above the pituitary gland, is known as the optic apparatus. This optic apparatus, or the optic nerve, is concerned with your vision. So this optic apparatus is situated just above the pituitary gland. So whenever there's a tumor or a pituitary adenoma within the pituitary gland, it grows and compresses the optic nerve. This causes the visual deficits, visual difficulties with which the patient usually presents to a neurosurgeon or an ophthalmologist. The second important structure are the carotid arteries. Can you see these blood vessels which are present on either side of the pituitary gland? These carotid arteries are major blood vessels of the brain, and they provide blood supply to majority of the brain. This pituitary adenoma, as it grows from the pituitary gland, just observe my cursor, it slowly grows laterally. Grows laterally, bilaterally, I mean grows sidewise. Initially, it compresses the carotid artery and then it grows all around the carotid artery. Third important structure which you have to understand is, can you see the small structure which is attaching the pituitary gland to the base of this brain? This is known as a pituitary stalk. This stalk contains some important hormones which are concerned with our ability to control or maintain hemostasis within our urine. You can, I will not go into details, but I can tell you in a simple way. If there is any damage to this part, which is known as pituitary stalk, that the patient will be having excessive urination. Along with this urination, the sodium content in his body will start decreasing. So, as a surgeon, the surgeon will try his best to prevent injury to the carotid arteries, to prevent injury to the pituitary stalk, and to prevent injury to the optic apparatus or the optic nerve. So let's play the animation again. This is the brainstem which they have shown. This is the optic apparatus, the preservation of which is very important for the surgeon. These are the carotid arteries, which I will try my best not to cause even the smallest of the injury. Now let's see how is the surgery done. To reach the, as I've told you, because there is air-filled cavity in the nasal cavity and the sphenoid sinus, I can reach this cavity through the nose. So this is known as transnasal, transsphenoid sinus approach for the pituitary adenoma. This is the most common approach for majority of the pituitary adenomas. So I enter through the nostrils. I use equipment which are known as an endoscope. See, this is an endoscope. This, you can say this is a rod lens apparatus which performs the duty of one. It allows us to reach the pituitary adenoma, the tumor, through the narrow corridor provided by the nasal cavity. So to reach that one, this is a very narrow tube which is usually of 6 to 7 mm. Second, it is known as a rod lens combination. So it has lens within it, which is similar to our telescope lens. So this gives us vision, and that too under a high magnification, so that I will be able to see the details of my operative cavity crystal clearly. And it also helps in delivering the light to my operative field. So through one nostril, I will be passing my endoscope, and through the other nostril, I pass my instruments. This is the view which I see through the endoscope. This is an animated view. You can see how my endoscope is going through, as I've told you. The first structure which I have to remove is the front wall of the sphenoid sinus. Once I remove the front wall, I can see the pituitary gland, pituitary tumor. But the pituitary tumor is still separated from me by a thin piece of bone, which is the floor of the sella turcica. This floor, we drill. The neurosurgeon drills with utmost care. You can see this is the floor of the sella turcica. Above that one, I have the pituitary adenoma. These are the impressions of the carotid arteries, which the pituitary adenoma is abutting. This is the impression of the optic nerve, which the pituitary adenoma is abutting or compressing. So it's a challenge for the neurosurgeon to remove this part of the bone without injuring the carotid arteries on either side and the optic nerve above. So how this is achieved? So through one nostril, I need to see the tumor. So this is the endoscope which is providing illumination and vision to me. And through the other nostril with my other hand, I make this bone, remove this bone with a drill. Initially make it papery thin. Then that small part of papery thin bone, we remove with different instruments which are known as Kerrison punches. While removing that one, I'm very careful not to injure the carotid artery or the optic nerve. Once I remove this one, this layer, which is, as I've told you before, this layer covers the entire surface of the brain and the under surface of the brain also. This is known as a dura mater. So I open the dura mater. As I've told you before, even this step, I'm very careful not to injure the carotid artery or the optic nerves. So we are opening the dura mater with the help of various microsurgical instruments. This is the micro scissor. Once I open the dura mater, I can see the pituitary gland and the pituitary tumor. In this part of the video, you can see this is the pituitary gland, which is usually orange in color. We can see blood vessels over it, and it's usually firm. This is a pituitary adenoma, which is usually paler in color, and the consistency is variable. Sometimes it's very soft, sometimes it's firm, sometimes it's hard. It's easier to remove soft tumors, but when it becomes firm and when it becomes hard, it really becomes challenging for the surgeon to separate it from the tumor. There are various approaches. We call the extracapsular approach, we call the pseudocapsular approach. Here we try to, most commonly, the surgeon tries to separate the pituitary tumor from the pituitary gland. We try to develop an interface between the two structures. I'm not supposed to injure the pituitary gland. We try our best not to separate the pituitary gland. Delicately, we separate the pituitary tumor from the pituitary gland with the help of microsurgical instruments. Then the pituitary gland is removed. The challenge comes. Once I remove, in the process of removing the pituitary tumor, I encountered this structure, this white transparent structure, which is known as arachnoid matter. The arachnoid matter is the inner lining of the brain. If I injure this one, the cerebrospinal fluid which surrounds the brain starts leaking. So when I'm separating the tumor from the pituitary gland, I try to take equal care not to injure the arachnoid matter to prevent injury to prevent a CSF leak. As shown in this picture, this is a small part of the tumor which is invading into the carotid artery and the venous structure surrounding the carotid artery, which is known as the cavernous sinus. So when you are trying to remove this part of the tumor, there is a potential danger of injury to the carotid artery, which can be catastrophic. Here, the surgeon takes an intraoperative decision. He tries to separate this part of the tumor from the carotid artery. If the tumor is non-functional, the surgeon may elect, he may decide to leave this part of the tumor, which can be later dealt with radiotherapy. If the tumor is less adherent, if it comes off, he will try his level best to remove this one. If the tumor is functional adenoma, then the surgeon will try a lot to remove this part of the tumor, because complete tumor removal is very important when the tumor is functional. So once this part of the tumor is removed, we'll go to a different animation which shows this in a better way. So the tumor has been removed. Now this part of the bone which I have removed needs to be reconstructed. So this reconstruction is usually done with the help of the fat, and this is a layer which is taken usually from the thigh. This is known as a fascia lata. So this is space which is tightly, closely opposed to this defect in the skull. Sometimes I use the nasal mucosa itself to close this defect. Once I close this defect, let me stop the sharing part. Once I close the defect, then we usually pack the nasal cavities with soft sponge-like material which is known as Merocel. This helps in keeping the graft which I have taken from the thigh in close opposition to the skull base so that it slowly unites with it. It also helps in packing the nasal cavity to prevent bleeding. So the nasal pack is usually kept for a minimum of 2 days, and I usually prefer to keep it for 4 to 5 days. After 5 days, nasal cavities are removed. So this is how the surgery for pituitary adenoma is carried on. So I hope this video have tried to explain in a common man's language how this surgery is being done. Thank you.